Oh, hey! I'm glad you're here. Things have been bonkers around here as of late, and we'll get to a lot of that in this Hangout episode. If this is your first VHS, welcome. Next season we'll return to our original format, but this season is a bit of chaos as we do whatever we want. So in this one, we'll catch you up on some things that we've watched recently, new movies for a change, and hope to put them on your radar if you haven't already seen these films. We also chat with a rad director as well. Also, I was just on the podcast All Fantasy Everything, an amazing podcast. We fantasy draft hot sauces, so I wanted to thank all of their fans who reached out, DM'd me, tagged me in things, who came out to the farmer's market and got sauce. Thank you all for the kind words. Really appreciate the support. Growing up in a video store, nice segue. Growing up in a video store, I never thought about meeting an actor or a director. There was no interest from me as a kid, and also no internet, so people just existed in movies. I didn't really think about it as a profession. I didn't watch Ator and think, I wonder what Miles O'Keefe is up to. I guess as a kid, that's pretty normal. As a quote-unquote grown-up, getting to have these conversations with creative people, be it actors, writers, comedians, directors, it's never lost on me that yet these people are super talented, but they also needed to be driven to push a dream. Sure, somebody can dream, and that dream could be Frankenhooker, but it's a dream nonetheless, so no judgment there. I just wanted to put that out there, and I hope that for you. I hope that you are driven to push your dream, just to push it like right into reality. That's what I'm going for here in the intro, a little bit of inspiration. So get out there, push those dreams, and let me know about them. I want to be in your corner as you do so. So let's get right into the episode. The films are what we've watched recently. The guest is Sarah and Adeline Marshall, and this is VHS. Hello and welcome to a Hangout episode of VHS. I'm your host, Dirk Marshall, and I'm joined by my co-host in all, Sarah Marshall.
Hey, buddy, let's hang out.
Woo! Now, we've had a lot going on, so I wanted to set up a Hangout episode here in Season 13 where we could talk about things that have been going on and what we've been watching. So, first up, Season 22 of Hot Ones.
Season 22.
Season 22.
Season
Oh, yeah.
22.
It just dropped today. I know that people will be hearing this next Tuesday. How are things going?
Well, we are on a wild ride. In all ways.
Yeah.
So things are really good. And then sometimes for a second they're not good. And then they're good again.
Yep.
And, so wild. Yeah.
Yeah. We watched NSYNC eat our hot sauce this morning with our
Sure
daughter.
Did. How fun is that?
It's pretty wild.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
I'm very excited. I'm so excited to see who all the guests are. I think this was a really fun kickoff to have NSYNC eat our hot sauce and all these other wonderful hot sauces these people make in the world. It's very exciting.
It's fun to see the expressions. It's fun to see what they're going to comment on. We got like an Al Pacino scent of a woman hoo-ah from Justin Timberlake.
We sure did. Right after Justin Timberlake ate whiskey smoked ghost hot sauce, our hot sauce, he had a reaction.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
It's pretty crazy. It's so wild. People have been messaging all morning.
Yeah.
It's really fun. But somehow we've had time to watch some things. Oh, you know what? Before I get to the movies, I also wanted to mention, I don't know if you can talk about it yet, but last night you were recipe testing some recipes, and they were so good.
Oh, we can talk about it.
We can talk about it?
Sure.
Okay, I want to talk about both of them. So if you could
let's
start with the one that I had first.
I don't know what you had first.
Okay, so first you served it was like a roasted vegetable situation.
Yeah, okay. So I'm making these recipes for the Heatonist, who is the curators of Hot Ones, and they want to tell all of their wonderful customers how to eat these spicy sauces. So this is really, I feel like, a specialty of mine, to be able to create things for people to eat with hot sauce that is really palatable to everybody. So of course you can eat the hot sauce like Instinct did today on a wing. It's going to be very spicy, or you can cook with it. So I made these 2 recipes. One is up on our website right now. I'll make
Awesome.
sure the other one is up by the time this airs.
Okay.
So the first recipe I did was roasted vegetables with our whiskey smoked ghost sauce, and then I made a spicy tahini that you dip the vegetables in. And so, right now at the farmer's market, I went to the farmer's market yesterday and got all the vegetables. So it was turnips, potatoes, carrots, just like whatever vegetables you can find. It's so easy. You just whisk up this little dressing, toss the potatoes in it, or, toss the vegetables in it, roast it, and then dip it in a sauce that is like way better than it should be.
It's so good.
So good. And, like I said, everyone will be able to eat this. And then if you want to make it very spicy, you could just add more sauce to it. So
yeah, didn't need it.
So that was the first one I did. And then the other recipe is for some black bean burgers, which we, love. And this was actually your idea. You said, why don't you just make a black bean burger? Because, we love black bean burgers. So I made a very good one, very easy, with our whiskey smoked ghost sauce. And it's different. We have another one on the website that's like gluten-free and vegan. And this one is not. It has eggs and panko. And that's what makes it delicious. So if you do need a gluten-free version, we have that. This one is just the most kick-ass veggie burger you're ever going to have.
It's so good.
It's so good.
Yeah.
So good. And very easy.
Yes. That's the thing that you do so well is you dial in these recipes that don't require a ton of different techniques and ingredients. It's like very simple with big flavor payout.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
It's delicious.
I'll make it again.
All right. So let's get into some things we've watched. Starting off with Riverdale is over.
Oh my gosh, how relieved are you?
I am so overjoyed for the wonderful journey they all went on together that has now ended.
I'm not sure if we've talked about this on the show, but Dirk, hates a musical like so hard, such hatred.
Yeah.
And that is fine. Everybody has their thing. For you just do not want people singing. And Riverdale did not start out that way. It was a show. I liked the outfits. It was fun. It was kind of dark. Sometimes, I liked it in the beginning. Then they really hung on to the singing, and it is now only singing. And so constantly while we were watching it, I was just like, oh, sorry, Dirk, I'll turn it down.
Yeah.
But I mean, I had committed to this show because there's so many seasons. It's so long. Once I start something, I have to finish it almost no matter what. So I had to finish Riverdale, and I did. And now we don't have to go back to that time and place again.
Yeah, I feel like there's been some major media repercussions from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I feel like that show created something, and a lot of shows have tried to kind of ape that. And so a lot of times we end up watching these shows that, like Sabrina the Teenage Witch when it came back, great. Riverdale, where they try to make it darker, so we're like, ooh, I want to watch this. And then they start singing, and I'm like, why are you doing this? And by the end, so much singing, where I was like, who is this? Who's voting on this? Somebody's voting, because there's like little dialogue, mostly singing.
Yeah. And I think people like that. So it is definitely a show for someone else. If you love singing, if you love singing teenagers making out, then that show is for you, and you have it.
There it is.
I'm going to give it to you.
Yeah. There's like 400 years of it. I don't know how many years it was.
It's so long. Commit some time.
Every season I was like, it'll be over soon. And it'll be like episode 24. And I'm like, how many? What is happening here?
Well, we are done. We don't have to go back
That's
there.
Right.
Thank you for hanging on with me. Of
course. Anytime, because you watched some things with me. And let's get to those. First up is Joyride from 2023.
Yes.
It's a comedy starring Ashley Park, Stephanie Sue, Sherry Cola, and Sabrina Wu. Follows 4 Asian American friends as they bond and discover the truth of what it means to know and love who you are. Loved it. Absolutely hilarious. Super fun. Felt important. I don't know. There's some great comedies that have something to say coming out these days.
Yes. It was so fun. It was so good. I love everyone in it.
Same.
They all did such a good job. It's so funny. I laughed and cried because I was laughing so hard.
Yeah.
I'm really into it.
Yeah.
Please watch it.
Yeah,
It's a
see,
must watch. Sarah
Joy
Marshall must watch.
Sarah Marshall must Oh, that's new. That's new on the podcast. Sarah Marshall must watch. Perfect. Yeah, Joyride 2023. Just really funny, had a lot of heart, and that really gets me. I think these comedies that have something to say really I lower my guard because I'm having a good time, and then they hit me right in the feels, and I gotta say I'm here for it every time.
Yeah. And it's not often that a comedy will have a message about
Right.
finding yourself and loving who you are and loving your friends, and that no matter what you are and who you are, it's wonderful. And that this movie really does that while it's making you laugh.
Yeah. And I think anytime there's an oddball character that is seeking acceptance and finds it, it's
Yeah.
always going to be it's always going to get me. So
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
So that's Joyride 2023. Moving on to Cobweb, also 2023. This is a horror starring Lizzie Kaplan, Anthony Starr. An 8-year-old boy tries to investigate the mysterious knocking sounds that are coming from inside the walls of his house, unveiling a dark secret that his sinister parents have kept hidden from him. The reason I put this here is this wasn't a movie that was for us. I think it's safe to say.
Yeah.
We found it very frustrating at times, and that is what I wanted to talk about. So, I did see a lot of people really enjoy Cobweb. I saw it on people's top 10 of the year. So, if this movie, and you haven't seen it yet, sounds interesting, go and watch it for sure. I'm never trying to keep people from watching things.
Sure.
But the conversation I wanted to have about it is we couldn't see what was happening in the movie.
Yeah.
And obviously, if other people are loving this, that's not the issue for them. And I hear this come up time and time again where people are like, you have to adjust your TV for this movie or that movie. And I find that really disheartening that we can't just like put something on and watch it. And we're not talking about aspect ratio or widescreen versus full screen. It's like people are like, you have to adjust it to watch this movie. And this movie didn't say that, but I just wanted to say how relieved I am when we see a movie and you can see what's happening. Because we're just squinting at the TV going, I don't know what I'm supposed to be afraid of or what's happening here. And if that's not the intent of the filmmaker, it's a huge disservice for a movie to come out like that. So that's all I wanted to say. I don't want to, poo-poo on anyone's platter. Is that a thing?
No.
That's not...
Don't ever poo-poo on anyone's platter.
Yeah. I don't know where that analogy went, but that's all I wanted to say. Just that if that's not the intent of the film, it's a real bummer when that's how it's rolled out.
I watch any movie you put on with you, and if I cannot see it, I am not paying attention to it. So I kept being like, I can't see what's happening, so I'm going to answer these emails instead. And am I missing anything, Dirk? No.
Yeah, because the actors would be doing interesting stuff, and the script's making interesting choices where you're like, oh, what's going on with this boy? And what's Lizzie Kaplan's amazing. And then you're just like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be seeing.
Yeah.
So it's like,
and I think it has, I think the movie has a lot of potential. I think that parents are supposed to be this like safety net, and they are not in this movie. I think there's some good creepy elements. I think it could have been very great if I could have seen what was going on. Instead, I stopped paying attention. Yeah. Which is a bummer.
It is. It is. But that's okay, because there's more movies to talk about. Unfortunately, the next movie is Last Voyage of the Demeter from 2023. Wow. It's a horror directed by Andre Overdahl, who did Troll Hunter, Autopsy of Jane Doe. I love his movies. It's a crew sailing from Varna, Bulgaria by the Black Sea to England, and they find out that they're carrying a very dangerous cargo. It's Dracula. And so this movie, again, another one that like people love. It's on people's top 10, totally. And I get it. They're men. And if you're a lady and you like this movie, that's amazing. Find me on social media and let me know what you enjoyed about it. It was not for me. It's shot really well. I like this director. I'm curious about the pacing. It's a lot of men on a boat. And then when they reveal Dracula, I mean, everyone said it's practical, but it looked very CG to me. And so that was my last thing I was holding on to. And I didn't find the kills memorable. It just, for me, it was a big, I don't know who this is for. But that being said, a lot of people love it. So maybe this is the movie. There's always one every year where we watch it and we go, I don't know.
Well, I love vampires.
Same.
And I love vampire movies.
I thought it was a safe bet.
However, this movie made me realize a lot about what kind of vampire I like.
Okay.
I like a sexy, rich, sexy
Yep.
vampire.
Okay.
Men and women. I
Sure.
don't care about the
True.
gender. I want them to be beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to be alluring. I want them to be able to con people into the kill. This is not that movie.
Yeah.
This is dirty, grimy, monster,
Yeah.
ugly. Not my thing.
Yeah. You're right. You did learn a lot.
I did learn a lot.
Moving on. Then we watched The Baker, also from 2023. It's an action movie starring Ron Perlman, Elias Koteas, Joel David Moore, and Harvey Keitel. It's an elderly baker must do everything he can to protect his granddaughter from gangsters. Basically, it's like a very low budget The Professional.
Yeah. It really is. And as we've watched some movies lately about, like, let's say like Book Club or something, kind of, about
Book Club 2, the next chapter?
women aging, things like that.
Yeah.
I like that kind of movie. And I feel like that's sort of what this is for like mobster men.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that the mobster man gets into baking. It's
Yes.
so sweet.
Yeah.
There's some really lovely baking, kneading, bread, dough,
big
flour.
Ron Perlman hands.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Ron Perlman is so good. I mean,
He's great.
I really feel like everyone in this movie did a really wonderful job. There's very few characters.
Very few.
Every person in it did so well with their roles. And I think that even when we see mobster movies, we don't really think about children and grandchildren as like a main character.
Yeah,
like,
that's a good point.
mobsters have children, but they're kind of like either they grow up and go into the business, or they never really show them. They're like on the
Their background of a wedding scene, basically.
Totally.
Yeah.
So I think this is an interesting take on a tale that we've seen. So I had a really great time with it. I thought it was a very good movie.
Yeah, I agree. And I wanted to mention it because, of course, it's streaming and you won't find it. It's like you have to search for The Baker or Ron Perlman or Elias Koteas.
Mm-hmm.
Like, otherwise it's going to be gone in like maybe already gone. It's hard to say. But everyone's great in it. Harvey Keitel has not a huge part in it, but every line you're just like, God, these people that are so good, they can be in a tiny movie and just act their asses off. It's fantastic. So The Baker, 2023, which brings us to Talk to Me, 2023. When a group of friends discover how to conjure spirits with an embalmed hand, they become hooked on the new thrill and high-stakes party game. Directed by Danny and Michael Philippou.
Well, I love a ghosty party game.
Yeah.
So if I were a character in this movie, I would totally be down.
Yeah, you would have been first.
Yeah, I would be like, yes, number one volunteer, let me go.
Yeah.
And that would not work out very well. It doesn't work out very well
really
with these
doesn't.
people in this movie at all.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
So, I mean, watch it, please.
Yeah. This got a lot of hype this year.
Yeah, deserved.
And deserved. I love any movie where they introduce an object. Like, give us something new, and that could be the look of the killer, it could be whatever, but give us something that's identifiable. Because movies these days, they have like similar titles. We'll get to that. But the hand has become a thing. And it's going to be, you'll see it in Halloween from now forever.
I'm sure we'll have one.
I should have one already. I'm waiting for the Blu-ray, but it probably comes in the hand.
Ooh, let's hope.
Yeah. Had a great time with this one. I think a lot of people will watch it this Halloween if they've missed it, and highly recommend it for October. So that is Talk to Me. Next are a couple that I watched solo. First up is Operation Napoleon from 2023. This is a thriller action movie directed by Oscar Thor Axelson. I don't know his films, but I'm going to find him now because it's sort of a stripped down kind of action movie meant to feel very big, but smaller cast, I would say. It's a lawyer sucked into an international conspiracy after being accused of a murder she didn't commit. Her only chance of survival lies in uncovering the secret of an old German World War II plane discovered on Iceland's largest glacier. The lead, I don't have her name here, but she's fantastic. Reminds me of when I saw the movie Cold Hell, and I was like, this actress is incredible. Like, I hope that they make the jump to American stuff. Hope it opens up for them and they start a bunch more things. I watched this because I thought from the trailer that they found Hitler in the airplane, and I thought it was like maybe a Weekend at Bernie's type situation. That's not the situation, not to spoil it. But it is really cool how it unfolds, and if you're into those kind of thriller espionage things involving maybe gold, maybe things, I don't know, but check that out for sure. That's Operation Napoleon, probably, again, already gone on streaming services. So, like, you gotta dig. Next is Venecia Frenia. This is 2021 horror directed by Alex de la Iglesias, one of my favorite Spanish directors. A group of Spanish tourists in Venecia will find themselves fighting for their lives against locals that are not keen on foreigners. It has on the cover Jester and somebody with one of those plague masks. And so it takes place during some sort of festival where everyone's wearing masks. And
Fun.
yeah, and so it's great gateway into the spooky season kind of horror movie. Not like super crazy kills or anything, but he's a really great filmmaker. Everything looks fantastic. You can watch it in the Spanish language, so you don't have to hear the dub, because unfortunately a lot of these movies get awful English dubs that make the movies feel really cheap. But in the native language in which it's created, it's really, really fun. I can't recommend it enough. If you haven't seen that film from Alex de la Iglesias, that's Venecia Frenia. Which brings us to something we just watched last night, Tin and Tina from 2023, directed by Ruben Stein. This is his debut feature. I was shocked to find that out. He's only done a handful of shorts. Cinematographer is Alejandro Esperado, and again, just shorts. It's an amazing work. After a tragic situation, Lola and her husband Adolfo adopt Tin and Tina, two lovely brother and sister. This is their words. Two lovely brother and sister with an ultra-Catholic education that makes them interpret Holy Bible verbatim. Thoughts on Tin and Tina?
Well, I mean, yeah, watch it, please. It's so good. It's so dark and creepy and wild, and they do some things that you don't see done. I don't really want to spoil anything.
Yeah, that's the tricky part.
But I mean, I think that we have to talk about something, because we didn't talk about it really after we watched it.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, so, when you look it up, the number one question is, are Tin and Tina innocent?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you think?
No! I don't think anyone that does anything because of religion's innocent.
But do you think they killed
Yeah,
the father?
I think they did all of it. Yeah.
They did it all.
Yeah. If you're still listening and plan on watching Tin and Tina, I hope you skipped this part, because skip ahead about 2 minutes, because the part where the father tells the kids how long it takes by walking to get back to the house from the convent.
Oh yeah, they left the convent.
They totally left the convent.
And they lit him on fire.
Oh, for sure. 100%.
Cool.
Yeah.
The internet is divided, Dirk.
Oh.
The internet is divided.
Sure. Well, the internet is also kind of an asshole, because you should watch this movie. It's in Spanish. It's being tanked currently by Christians and Catholics, which sucks because we live in a world where people can do that. It's getting so many 1-star reviews because it negatively views their religion. And I think that's shitty that people treat art this way.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to watch it. And if you watch it and you think it's slow, okay. But
I think you do have to watch it. Sarah Marshall must watch.
Yeah, must watch. It's a Sarah Marshall must watch. It is gorgeous. It's the type of movie that makes me go, oh my gosh, I love movies. Mm-hmm. There's oneers in here, like continuous camera shots, where I had to stop it and rewind it and be like, wait, is this? There's a shot involving mirrors with the mom and the two adopted kids.
I have never seen such a good shot in my life.
Mind-blowingly beautiful. It is so well planned out.
I feel like it's like every gothy photograph I tried to take in the 90s, except for they pull it off in a movie.
Yeah.
It's so rad.
It's so good. And there's two shots that dissolve from one point in time to another, and I just don't know how they did it. It's just the same thing stays center frame, only it's like hours later, and I don't know. It's Tin and Tina is astounding to me, and I think that people should watch it. It is on Netflix.
Yeah, watch it.
Buried in
got
there.
Vibes from like all of our favorite movies.
Yeah,
like that's the piece that I want to say is that without being exactly like every other movie, it's like you've got some like Rosemary's Baby in there, and the mom, the actress that plays the mom, is so good at just being in this like postpartum depression state.
Yeah,
she's so good.
She's so good, and she goes through so many different stages. And the movie, it's like 2 hours, maybe some change. And it goes through these like melodramatic parts, these horrific ideas. it pitches itself to a point almost 45, 50 minutes in where I was like, where is this going?
Yeah.
Which usually Spanish movies don't make me feel that way. Japanese films, Japanese horror definitely does that, where I'm like, if this is where we're at now, I'm scared for where we're ending up. And the way it twists, and it's just really, really, really impressive. Tin and Tina on Netflix. Watch it. Sarah Marshall must watch.
Sarah Marshall must watch.
Which brings us to another movie that really, really caught us off guard this year. The Boogeyman from 2023. It's horror. It's PG-13. It's directed by Rob Savage, who did The Host and Dashcam. Still reeling from the tragic death of their mother, a teenage girl and her younger sister find themselves plagued by a sadistic presence in their house and struggle to get their grieving father to pay attention before it's too late. My problem with this movie is that there's 5 movies with this title. Why did this get called The Boogeyman? It's such a vague name for such a cool, I'll say villain. I'll just say creature. The design it was really great on this thing. Also, you could see everything at every point. This is another gorgeously shot film. Great depth of field. Like, I just kept stopping it being like, look how well lit everything is in this movie. The characters are all great. The way it unfolds is really good. Minimal amount of fake fire is always a plus.
I'm just... I have to stop for a second because I'm so over fire added into these movies that are already so good. Like, fire is its own separate villain.
Yeah.
We don't need to add it to every horror movie. We already have a villain. Leave the fucking fire out of it. I'm so over it.
I know. 6
of these movies we talked about have fake fire in them.
Well, in the last movie, Tin and Tina has real fire, and then they put fake fire in it.
And why?
I don't know. I don't know who's so gung-ho on fire.
It was unnecessary. The kids are enough.
Yes.
You don't need the fire.
It's so true. It's so true. The Boogeyman came out this year. I would have skipped it completely had I not heard the director being interviewed and checked out. So in the movie, the little girl has what's called a moon ball, I guess. It's a sphere that lights up. And originally it's supposed to be a lightsaber, but I guess she plays a young Princess Leia in something, one of the many Star Wars things. So Disney said no on that. So they have this cool moon ball, and it's a great, like, just like The Hand and Talk to Me, it's an object that sets the movie apart from other things, and the way it's used and rolled about in the film is super fun.
So
and
what I hear you saying is we're going to get a moon ball.
I think we might. I know it's on Amazon.
Rad. You've already looked.
But but anyway, that's The Boogeyman, highly recommended. And speaking of moon, our final film is Moon Garden from 2023. It's a dark fantasy film directed by Ryan Stephen Harris. A comatose 5-year-old girl journeys through an industrial wonderland to find her way back to consciousness. Thoughts?
So good.
It's so good!
It's so good. It is like he has created this other universe, this dream world, and it's so rad. It's like everything I want to see in a movie.
Yeah, I'd seen the trailer for this, and I was just waiting to watch it, and then I watched the trailer again, and I was like, the trailer makes it look like a little grimy kind of thing, I felt like, but when I watched the movie, it's not like that at all. It's gorgeous, and I didn't know this, but that's the director's daughter that plays the little girl.
She's the best.
She's so great, and she really grounds the movie. And I said this to the director, but like the way that she says lines, they feel so authentically from a child. You know, sometimes movies are like, and then the kid says this, and you're like, that's not how a kid talks. But like the way that she words things, it's just like it took me right back to our child saying stuff where the kids word things in these fantastical ways where you're just like, wow, that is not from reality. Yeah, and then the imagery in the film, it's just beautiful, and I was super excited to hear from the director that it's getting a Blu-ray release, so you can watch it now, stream it. It's also traveling to certain cities on 70mm, so you can see it in the theater. Please do that. But Oscilloscope is putting out the Blu-ray, and I will be 100% picking that up. He's also working on a new sort of dark fantasy film in the vein of Moon Garden, so I'm super excited about that.
Rad. I can't wait.
Yeah, but don't take our word for it. Here's a conversation with the director. Hello and welcome back to VHS. I'm your host, Dirk Marshall, and I'm joined by my guest, Ryan Stevens Harris. Thank you for being here.
Hey, thank you for having me. Yes.
Your film Moon Garden is available now on streaming platforms, and I'm hoping it'll get a Blu-ray release later this year.
It definitely will.
Yes.
So physical media, as I was saying, is definitely super, super important to me.
Mm-hmm.
So we were so fortunate to get picked up by Oscilloscope Laboratories, who
Awesome.
is really into physical media,
Yes.
just like we are. Unfortunately, obviously, with the rise of digital and streaming and everything, it's now just kind of become a collector's market, but it's still just something really near and dear to my heart, just because it's something you can pick up and hold, which if you see the film Moon Garden is kind of almost one of the themes, this kind of tactile, handcrafted
Yes.
aesthetic. So it was really important to get somebody on board who saw that. And so we're really fortunate in that way. So yeah.
That's great news, and I'm super excited to add it to my collection. It does warm my heart when I talk to people and they look behind me and see physical media, and then they're like, I was thinking about getting some stuff because a movie I liked, it's bounced off a streaming platform. And that kind of thing really makes people go, oh, I can't have access to everything always when I want it. Like, okay. And I buy stuff, and my daughter has her own physical media collection. And when she has sleepovers, her friends, like, they open up the cabinet and they're pulling out the DVDs and Blu-rays and they're looking at the boxes, and it just really hits me right in the good feelings.
Yeah, it's a way to get excited about something. I know. You see it on the shelf. It's almost like a library, and it also speaks to the personality of the person. It's so fantastic to be able to glance over at a big wall of physical media, and you kind of get a sense of what they're into.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Among other things. So,
yeah,
yes.
that's well said. Now, I would say director Ryan Stevens Harris, but that would leave out writer, editor, sound design, animation, visual effects, colorist. There's definitely a team of talented individuals that each had a hand in this fantastic film, but you were involved in multiple aspects of it.
Yeah, so I tend to do that on a lot of projects, but I don't want to downplay any of the other incredibly skilled, incredibly talented people that worked on the movie. I wrote and directed it, but a close collaborator and filmmaker friend of mine, John Elfers, was the producer. He did a lot of the puppeteer work.
Oh, it's beautiful.
He helped build sets with me. Obviously, the production design is a big, big part of it. The cinematographer, Wolfgang Meyer, we shot all on expired 35 millimeter film, which required a whole hell of a lot of light because we had to overexpose to get our thick negative. Our amazing composer, Michael Darragon, he composed like 600 hours of material for the film. And then our cast and crew, which stuck with us through a really long production period as I raised money off and on. The film was really shot piecemeal. We shot the fantasy portion first. Then I cut together a little piece to kind of seduce the parent actors, Augie Duke and Breon Davis, to join the project.
Nice.
And then we ended up shooting miniatures at the very, very end of the picture after I'd raised another chunk of change working on another film. Yeah, just sticking by us the whole time. Morgana Ignis, who plays the Teeth character, and all of our bit characters, Timothy Lee DePriest, Philip Walker, Maria Olsen, and then my amazing, at the time, 7-year-old daughter, Hayden Lee Harris.
Yes. So that was a whole section way later in this conversation, but you just listed off all these incredible performances, these actors in the film.
Yeah.
And one of the things I really appreciated, and I'm not doing a synopsis here because I really feel like this is one of those things that I love unfolding as you watch it. I saw a trailer, I told you, but that didn't spoil it for me, but I just loved the feeling, and my wife knew nothing about it when I put it on, and she also equally loved the movie. The economic storytelling that happens in this film is like something that's really near and dear to my heart. It reminds me of, and sort of the look too, something I would have found in the 90s, either stuck in the foreign section because they didn't know where it goes, or in the drama section, and I would be like, what is this? And it's like such a specific world you created that I just really, really love, and that's anchored by these performances. But I was curious, can you give us a history of how Moon Garden came to be a feature? Did it start as a short? Is that correct?
So originally, believe it or not, the whole idea was conceived really early on as I had been working on this industrial Alice in Wonderland script. And again, my collaborator, John Elfers, we co-founded Fire Trial Films together. It's this production company that really focuses on film production. He had just gotten a pair of new cameras. And so we decided to shoot a proof of concept, a test short for this larger industrial Alice in Wonderland that I wanted to do. And so we built it all, this night forest set in my one-car garage in Burbank, California, where we built miniatures to expand the forest set. We comped my daughter Haven into these big, elaborate, lush environments. And we shot on a fleet of different film cameras using like stop motion and different speed ramp techniques, all of these things. And we created this 12-minute short called Every Dream is a Child with Teeth.
Mm-hmm.
There was one line of dialogue in the whole thing. And it was essentially about this little girl who wakes up in this dark forest, and she wanders through and she encounters this being that rises out of the earth. And she basically enters, and the creature that's born out of the earth has this mind's eye that opens up in the center of her head. And then the little girl crawls inside.
Wow.
And is kind of taken and overwhelmed by the power of her imagination or her dream state or whatever you want to call it. So it was really this kind of experimental short, but it was super visual, which is really the stuff that I love to make, is putting interesting stuff in front of the camera and trying to make an experience. Again, very minimal dialogue in the final film, Moon Garden. The first draft didn't have any dialogue except for that line of dialogue that was in the short. It was a silent film.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Now the film did evolve as I brought in the parents, and it really started to take shape and give it a real emotional anchor.
Mm-hmm.
And I really feel like that's all just in response to, me being inspired, being a dad, and having our little family unit. And, sometimes rough, tough things happen, but finding ways to get through it and seeing it all through, your daughter's eyes. If there's trouble in the household or whatever, it's like the whole world is crumbling around them. And even just the simplest thing, like just the mom and dad connecting, a child can imbue it with the same sort of magic that she does anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's really there's a lot of themes in Moon Garden. It's kind of like a very thematic movie. So if people can get lost in that and like really sink into the experience, I think that's when it's the most rewarding. So there are a lot of variations as to how the film was at the beginning, but ultimately it evolved in a very organic way.
I love that. I'm also a dad. My child is 9. And one of the things
Wow.
that I really appreciated of the film is, and so we'll move on to cast here, Havenly Harris, your daughter, is so good in it. And the things that she says are things that kids say. And that's something that a lot of movies don't get right. Like they'll have something that a kid would say, but it's written by an adult. And so one of the things that really stood out was when she's playing with the Mud Queen, and she says, like, my dress or gown is dirt or something like that. It's like she's like rises up. The way that it's worded is so perfectly obtuse, which is like how kids talk. Like they just express themselves in these wonderful, fantastic ways that haven't been hammered into reality. And it's just one of those components where I was like, I feel this. This is a real character. It just connected me to
Yeah,
Haven.
wonderful. Yeah, we were always trying to get her to be as reactive as possible.
Yeah.
And that's obviously the old kind of like film trick, but because one of the important things with Moon Garden was to build everything practically. Mm-hmm. It's a dark fantasy, feature film. So there's a lot of visual stuff. And a lot of people when they would read the script, they'd be like, oh, this is a $10-20 million movie or something.
Yeah,
I was like, well, we're doing it in this very specific way, right? So we would build out every set, and because it was real, because it was something for people to interact with, then we would, I would invite Haven out, and it was almost like I built her this little playground for her to interact with, like building a tunnel of mucus that's like a nostril, that's like a wet cave. When she gets inside, then it's like, the nostril things are like bungee cords, and we have her bouncing around on this thing. I mean, there were days where it was just, magic. Mm-hmm. And I often was like, well, if I was a kid and my dad was building me these amazing sets every time I got to come out in this playground, I just feel very fortunate because it was like, you work on films and you often disappear for 10, 12, 14, even longer, hours of the day. And so in this rare scenario, I was able to work with my daughter. My wife came out all the time. It was just this very magical experience at times. What's interesting is there's a horror element to it. It's a dark fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
So there are scenes that are intense. But what's interesting is the scenes that my daughter Haven had the hardest time with are the ones where they're really grounded in reality,
Oh,
are the ones
sure.
where she has to be lying there motionless in a hospital bed while people are talking about her. Those were like the hardest scenes for her to do. And we tried putting things in her ears. I actually thought that would be the easiest thing because all she did was have to lay there with her eyes closed.
Yeah.
But she would sit there and she would listen, and all these characters would be talking about her. In the film, her character goes through this terrible accident, which plunges her into a comatose state where she gets thrust into this industrial dream world and has to find her way back out. So we're cross-cutting to reality every now and then. And so when we are in reality, those were the scenes that my daughter had the hardest time with, which you wouldn't think so. You would think that it would be, oh, when the floating nightmare creature comes out and has a face-off with her. Not so much. I think because kids can play pretend. And with her anyway, she was always saying, it's like it's real. And so I was like, well, let's use that and let's do our best to make it, to pretend that it's real, even though it's fake. But let's try to make it real, even though it's fake. So that was always what I was telling her, is we're going to try to make it real, but we're playing pretend. But let's try to make it real. And she really latched on to that. And by the end of the film, it was the crew is family, on every movie. And so she still is hey, where's Maria? She plays the princess character.
Yeah.
And our assistant cameraman, we're sending her pictures and drawings and paintings and letters and stuff. And so it ended up just being one big family by the end. And so again, it was just a very rich experience on set, and one that I'm particularly grateful for. So yeah.
That's awesome. And then the parents, Augie Duke and Brian Davis. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, Breon Davis.
Breon. Yeah.
Yeah.
The mom and dad. The thing I love about this is it's very easy sometimes for movies to go into a very uncomfortable territory with a relationship where it takes the fun out of watching it. Because the journey that this kid goes on through the film is why I'd want to watch it. But, this relationship does ground it. But it'd be very easy to make the dad evil, rather than these two people who are in a difficult place. But like you said, that can happen in families, and then you have to work through it together. And I just thought that was such a smart part on you as a writer, that he's not this abusive, terrible, because there's parts where I was like, oh no. And then I was like, oh, they're just in life. This is a real relationship, but told very economically.
Yes. So it was really important that there wasn't a clear villain. So at the beginning of the film, I don't think I'm giving anything away because it's the first scene, but the mom is running away in the middle of the night with the little girl.
Mm-hmm.
And then the dad stops them, and you immediately assume something's wrong with the dad. Maybe she's in an abusive relationship or whatever.
I was so worried. I was like, what did I subject my wife to?
But then you see that the dad's actually a good dad. He cares about his daughter. He even says okay, tomorrow morning, maybe we can make amends, and maybe we can do something for mommy to make things better. And yes, and then you get the sense that the mom is going through stuff too. The mom, I think, is one of the more nuanced characters, just because often people are wondering what's going on with her. To me, I always felt like it was very just, maybe she was someone who became a mom too young, and she yearned for her freedom and her youth and how things used to be. And, she loves her daughter, but at the same time, it's who is she anymore? And so I think that she has slipped into this very kind of dark place, and she's trying to figure things out. Meanwhile, the dad is trying to take care of everything and hold it together, and he's starting to resent her. And yeah, it just comes from a very, real world scenario. It's not one of them is popping pills and the other one is super abusive or something.
Yeah.
I tried it to just be as honest as possible, something that is actually kind of true and happens naturally over time. But I think the important thing is that they're both loving parents. They were just, firing in two different directions. Maybe the mom needed, more love, and the dad needed more appreciation, and they just they're not meeting, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, that is the emotional anchor, is that family unit. Because the film is very visually overwhelming at times. It's like it dominates
Yeah, I love it.
the narrative. But to me, the mom's journey is kind of the thematic journey of the movie, where it's all about how magically a child can see the world, and how maybe if we could find our way to get back to that, maybe we wouldn't be so selfish, or maybe we wouldn't be focused on ourselves so much. I think there's a lot of things that could be taken away from it without giving away our big dramatic ending.
Right.
So,
Well, and also the last thing I wanted to touch on was, because
yeah.
we've talked about visually so much, but the music that you use, this motif that kind of repeats the song, the way that you've kind of bled fantasy and reality together through audio, I think is so fun. Whether it's, her hearing things from reality, or this song that the mom sings being, what's the name of the character that plays the instrument?
The musician character, that's Philip Walker.
Yeah,
The actor is Philip Walker. Yeah.
fantastic. Oh, what a face. Just like,
Yeah.
wonderful character. The groom,
Timothy Lee Priest.
Timothy
Yes.
Leader Priest. Again, what a face. I was like, oh my gosh. I went to IMDb. I was like, I gotta see what else this person's done. Yeah, just really, really excellent also characters. But I got sidetracked there. The music is what I wanted to talk about. I mean, since you wrote it and had your hand in so many different things, did you have this song in particular in mind to use?
Yes, we were shooting the musician scene with Philip Walker as John was still talking to the person at Cobalt Music Publishing to secure the rights to the song. So we didn't have the rights to it, but we were about to shoot literally a full music video, essentially on 35 millimeter film with full playback, where the actor had memorized the song. So thankfully, I'm from originally Columbus, Ohio. The person who was in charge of Badfinger's musical rights is also from Ohio. And again, we had shot this proof of concept short. So there was something I was able to show with the song that kind of gave an idea of the vibe. And he really loved what we did with the song, slowing it down a ton. Like you said, in that particular scene, the musician I almost thought of as like an otherworldly music box, where Emma, the little girl, is in this really, really dark place and is just on the brink. I mean, that's the point of the movie where people are very high stressed. She just got pulled underwater. She's going on down into the well. It's like, oh my God, what have I gotten myself into? And right when you feel like this poor little girl, then the mom's voice bleeds through this radio. And it's almost like just this really soothing, warm blanket that kind of lets the little girl know that everything is going to be okay if she's just brave and pushes through. So again, we had a really talented composer, Michael Darragon, do almost all of the score.
Wow.
But I should also mention my brother, Lucas Harris, is the one that did that instrumental for the musician.
Oh, it's beautiful.
He did that instrumental all on like this really alien type of instrument. I was like, it should be something this guy built in his basement. Should sound real and organic, but also completely alien. And so he happened on this amazing sound. And then my wife is the person who does the vocals.
Oh, wow.
You filter it through the radio, time it up with Augie's performance, lip sync it, and then that's the version that's in the film there. It took forever to get it right. with my mixer, Darren Hines. It was like, because you would think that radio sound and that instrument, I mean, they're right around the same frequency. So they really butt up against each other. So we really had to work to make that feel like a warm blanket and not like something biting on the ear. But yeah. And then that song repeats obviously throughout the movie. That's the song that the mother sings to the little girl as a lullaby at night.
Yeah.
So yeah. So it's something she always comes back to.
Yeah. It's so good. The last thing I wanted to say was you directed this film, but you also have edited other things. One of which was Moonfall. Is that correct?
Yeah, Moonfall. That was a large sci-fi film that came out. It had Halle Berry in it.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, that was a film that I did, and I used some of the proceeds to help finish Moon
That's
Garden.
why I
So
wanted to mention it, because
yeah,
I know there's filmmakers that listen to this podcast because we celebrate pretty much all walks of movies without
yeah.
mocking them. And sometimes filmmakers work on larger projects that enable them to work on more personal projects. And so I just love the transparency of that.
Yes. So I finished 5 movies in between the production of Moon Garden.
Wow.
So yeah, a movie called Midway, which was a World War II movie, a movie called Discarnate, which was a horror movie, The Hard Way, which was for Netflix, Winter's Dream, which was a sci-fi film that sold to Vertical, and then obviously Moonfall. So all of these movies in between that helped push Moon Garden to the finish line. Bless my wife's heart. All she wants is for the bleeding to stop. So.
Well, without showing my cards, I can easily say that Moon Garden is in my top 3 films I saw this year, so thank you so much for it. And what lies ahead for you? Where can people find you?
Thank you so much for that. Yeah, that's really flattering. I just hope people discover the movie because there's such a canopy of with these larger studio pictures that it's really been kicking and clawing and scraping with everything we have just to get noticed. And you know, all of the festivals we played at have been so wonderful, and we've had such a good response. Yeah, if people are interested, do check out Moon Garden. I'm hoping to do another dark fantasy film after I finish up with, I'm on a big 10-episode television series that we're working on here in Rome. And after that, I'm hoping to slide right back into doing something of my own, just as long as I don't lose my mind first. So yeah.
Well, I'm very
Yeah.
excited about that. Thank you again for your time and for Moon Garden.
Yes. Oh, I should mention, the Instagram handles, Moon Garden Film, which is at Instagram.
Great.
And then my Instagram, but it's not as, RSH9, but Moon Garden Film is the Instagram, which is really terrific. And our distributor, Oscope Labs, that's where you can find like everything under the sun, like where we're playing. We're actually touring with 35 millimeter prints.
Oh, wow.
We have 3 35 millimeter prints that got struck, and we've been touring around America with them. So we're actually still showing in certain theaters on 35 millimeter, which is just
perfect.
a trip. If you haven't seen it like before, because it's wild. It's just so wonderful because it introduces all these analog effects, which if you see the film, I mean, it's just perfect. I almost want to take the film prints and roll them down the street to get them more filthy. That's what's so great about them. So, yeah.
And so the distributor has that information where they're showing?
It's on their website, which is, oscilloscope.com or something. But
Great. That's
Oscilloscope. It's a New York-based distributor. They're wonderful. They've been getting the film out in a really great way. Now, if only we can figure out how to get into 2,000 theaters or something. But gosh, yeah. But anyway.
Awesome. Well, it's great to meet you, and I'm excited to see what you do next. And we'll be right back, right here on VHUs. And we're back. Before we reach the final segment with our daughter, Sarah, holiday's right around the corner. Anything you're looking forward to in the coming months?
Well, we didn't tell everyone that you are on All Fantasy Everything.
I'm on
this
All
week.
Fantasy Everything. It dropped Thursday.
Drafting hot sauce.
Correct. I joined my longtime friend Ian Carmel, Sean Jordan, and David Borey, and we draft hot sauces.
So fun.
Yeah, it's a dream to get to do anything with Ian once again and to talk with Sean and David. It was very, very fun.
Yeah, I hope people listen to that.
Yeah.
That is exciting. And I just want people to be on this ride with us. I want them to be part of it. I want them to watch the movies we watch. I want them to, watch the show that we're on and tell us what you think and be excited with us because, we want to share this joy with everybody. So that's it. That's what I got going on. That's what I'm looking forward to. I just want to have fun with my friends.
Yes. No, I love it. Find us on any of the socials. Let us know what you're watching. Let us know what celebrity ate our hot sauce that you enjoyed. It's happening on Hot Ones, Season 22.
Season 22.
Season 22. Yeah. Also, there's a Spanish film called When Evil Lurks that's coming out in October. It looks utterly terrifying. So check out When Evil Lurks.
Oh, that's the other thing I'm very excited for is our October movie marathon.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I know you're planning it right now, and I have no idea what's to come, but I am excited for it. So I hope people watch those movies with us
Yeah,
too.
I've been super busy, so I realized that it's almost October. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I got to get on that because I always theme the days of the week, plot out the month. I can tell you that Witchy Wednesday is returning.
Oh, I was just going to say, please don't get rid of Witchy
It's
Wednesday.
back. We'll have some new ones.
Woo!
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm picking all the movies out right now. So stay tuned for our 31 and 31. We'll be talking about that on Instagram, Twitter, whatever exists when this comes out. Sarah, thank you so much for this.
Thank you. Nice chatting with you, Dirky.
Nice chatting with you. Let's go back to our crazy lives.
Back to work.
We'll leave you with a conversation with our daughter, Adeline. And we're back, and I'm joined by Adeline Marshall. Thank you for returning.
Thank you for having me again.
We've got a couple different things to discuss. First up, we just returned from Comic-Con.
Yes, we did. I now have a ginormous bunny-shaped bean stuffy that's like the size of my arm.
Yeah,
So
bigger
that's-
even than that. So, how was your Comic-Con this year?
It was great.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Highlights? And did you see any cool costumes?
I mean, they were all really cool. Some people didn't dress up, which was kind of disappointing. Yeah, I saw a lot of people. I really like the inflatable dinosaurs.
Uh-huh.
Those costumes are really fun.
Yeah, there was
And
an
there were a lot of furries there, too.
inflatable T-Rex that
Yeah.
looked like Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That was
yeah.
weird.
Yeah. It was, yeah. There was also 2 Disney princesses, and there was people from Demon Slayer and all those animes.
Yep, lots of anime people.
Yeah, you could name one, like, a single anime out of any anime, even, like, yeah, anything.
Chainsaw Man.
Yeah, and there'd be someone somewhere dressed up as that. Also, we saw the author of Mr. Wolf's Class again.
That's right. If you're a fan of kids' books,
I
or-
don't think any kids are watching this.
well, parents listen, so I just
Yeah.
want to put that out there that you should get the
Yeah.
Mr. Wolf's Class. Those are the books. right?
Mr. Wolf's Class.
Mr. Wolf's Class.
Yes.
Check out those books. Very popular. Great author. Okay. Well, that brings us to something that we've been watching, an episode every couple nights. and
Uh-huh.
That is Fairy Tale Theater,
Oh, yeah.
also known as Shelley Duvall's Fairy Tale Theater. This is from 1982. It started showing on Showtime through 1987, and it's 25 classic fairy tales. How have you been enjoying that?
We've watched about 10 by now, maybe? Perhaps. No, maybe 9. One was scratched.
One was scratched. did you?
Old, okay? They're old.
Yeah. Do you like the host, Shelley Duvall?
Yeah.
And do you like the costumes and the sets?
Yeah, I like the little pig one.
Oh, Three Little Pigs.
Yeah, the 3 little pigs. I keep forgetting everything.
That was my favorite too. Yeah, Jeff Goldblum is the wolf. I really
yeah,
like
I
that
don't
one.
know who that is.
That's true, you don't. Yeah. We got to fix that.
You name somebody, I won't know them.
Okay.
Unless it's somebody who I have as a friend.
If I just name people that you know?
No. What? No, I said except for people I know.
Right.
Yeah.
Moving right along. Okay, so the big thing we have to talk about is it's been revealed.
We have new neighbors now.
Oh, sure, the
Sorry,
listeners
yeah.
want to know about that.
The actual reveal.
The
thing.
reveal. It's been announced. It is out. There is a brand new Studio Ghibli film.
Wait,
Miyazaki was going to be retired, but he's back, and he made
He's
a movie
back
called
in action.
The Boy and the Heron.
Oh
Um,
my gosh, I just want to say it. Those teeth on those birds are just driving me insane right now.
Yeah,
Just to be clear, we just watched the thing, and those teeth.
we
in
watched the
those
trailer.
Birds, it's like, what?
Yeah, so what is it? What are your first thoughts? Does it look like it's going to be good? What
It
do
looks
you think?
fun.
Yeah?
It's like every single Studio Ghibli combined.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ooh, all my favorites, which is every single one combined.
It does. I mean, it's,
And it's like, there's the tunnel from Spirited Away. There's
fire.
the fire
character,
girl.
like
guy
Calcifer from
Howl's Moving Castle. Jinx!
Ow!
Can't talk now. The show's mine. Okay, fine. You can talk now.
Oh, phew. Yeah, I mean,
You
it
still
looks
owe
like
me a soda. Anyways.
it looks like a little bit of every Studio Ghibli film
Mm-hmm.
rolled into one. So I'm excited.
Mine.
It doesn't come out until December 8th, so we have a lot of time to wait.
I don't want to wait.
Yeah.
I want to know now. Like, I want to do another little podcast of it, like, when it comes out. We probably are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, you'll have
Of
to.
course we are.
return.
Have we even done one on Howl's Moving Castle?
I think the first one we did was Spirited Away, right? And then I
Yeah.
don't think we've done any other ones.
Oh
Yeah.
wow. Well, soon we'll get that out too.
So you'll come back and we'll do some Studio Ghibli films.
Yes. Probably
You know what might
tomorrow.
be fun? Tomorrow. What if we ranked them like your favorites?
You're putting me under too much pressure now.
Not right now, but like,
I
what if
know,
we did
but,
a
like-
future episode?
Well, yeah, but like they're all so good.
They're all so good, but like,
Uh,
what do you think your number one would be? You love so many of them.
my number one would be all of them.
Yeah, I mean, because you have all the books and everything. Ponyo, Howl's Moving Castle, Spirited Away, Totoro.
And we're gonna watch the new one. We've also watched I don't know if this is Studio Ghibli, but Satellite Girl Milk Cow.
Yeah,
That's Studio Ghibli.
we did
right?
an episode on that. No, it's not, but
Oh.
it is from Japan.
Well, it kind of is like a Studio Ghibli in a way.
Similar style to Studio
It-
Ghibli, sure.
They're both anime similar. Technically the same thing.
Similar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
similar.
Okay, perfect. Well,
Okay.
do you have anything else you wanted to throw in this little check-in here?
Well, those teeth on those birds, I need help.
There it is, the teeth on the birds. Well, Adeline, thank you so much for returning,
I will always be here. You're welcome.
and we'll talk to you again in the future.
This was like 5 seconds long, and mostly laughing. Just like the last one.
Okay. Until next time, this has been VHS.
Goodbye.